This video contains spoilers for Deltarune. Please play the game before watching this. Deltarune is full of mysteries, lore, and secrets to be revealed. There are many niche details that leave me curious and ready to attempt to fill in the gaps. Jevil in particular is incredibly vague. He mentions terms like Hell's Roar or the Depths that open up new interpretations of what will happen in the future. So I'm going to try to piece together the few things Jevil says into a plausible theory. If you battle Jevil, he says different things based off if you fight or pacify him. If you defeat him by fighting him, he says soon the Queen returns and Hell's Roar bubbles from the depths. You already know who the Queen is. It's Q5U4EX7YY and 2E9N. This suggests that what Jevil predicts will in fact come true. We already have several undefined terms in this sentence: Hell, Roar, Bubbles, and Depths. I already have a definition I'll be using for the depths. The depths interpretation I'll be using is an adaptation of the Brooks depth theory, which can be found in the linked video. I would recommend watching that video if you are unfamiliar with the theory, because I will not be going into too much detail with the logistics. So, now we have one defined term. What are the other ones? What is the Hell's Roar that bubbles from the depths? I went through a few ideas for this one. It could just be referring to the roaring on its own, but that's lame and boring, so let's consider if there's anything else. I also consider the possibility that Hell's Roar was just a backwards dark fountain, or someone screaming in the depths, or a titan shouting. However, I couldn't really come up with any decent reasons for how those could work. Who would be in the depths to scream or make a backwards fountain? Why would a titan be shouting? Until I realized we do have one character missing. One character who some people think might be trapped in the depths. One character who could possibly explain not one of the aforementioned ideas, not just two, but all three of them. December holiday. I'm not sure exactly why she's in the depths or how she got there, but maybe that's something to consider looking into in the future. Before we continue and get into the theory, I'm going to go over my adaptations to the depths theory. It's already established that the depths is an alternate plane to the light world and is full of darkness. I'm going to do a quick overview on my take on darkness and save the in-depth stuff for a future video. To keep it simple, my take is that darkness is a sort of liquid. It functions somewhat like liquid and is the reasoning for a lot of the water imagery that's used around the dark world. When you burst a hole in the fabric between the light world and the depths, it initially appears as a gaseous substance from the pressure caused by the puncture and the transition through worlds. Once the dark world is properly created, the darkness is condensed back into its natural form and becomes a geyser, the fountain that gives the dark world form. This basically just means that water physics kind of apply in the depths, but it won't kill you because the nature of darkness seems to be more around creating and sustaining life. So theoretically, if someone was stuck in the depths, they wouldn't require sustenance because the pure darkness was already nourishing them. That's cleared up, on to the theory. Here's my theory. December is stuck in the depths, where the Titans also reside. Des, in confusion, thought the Titans were keeping her from being able to find an exit, or perhaps they were, who knows. So she attacked the Titans over and over until she managed to hit a weak spot on one. This injured Titan shouted in pain, a roar if you will. This roar was audible, yes, but it was a physical thing too. It was released as a sort of bubble, like if you were to try and yell while underwater. This bubble would become important later. Des watched as the bubble rose, direction is relative, but to her it was up, and vanished upwards. This gave her an idea. Instead of attacking the Titans, what if she attacked near where the bubble vanished? So she reached up into the sky and aimed to puncture a hole into the who knows what she was stuck in. She did make a hole, but instead of achieving an exit, she only managed to make a dark fountain, which was an unknown concept to her. She was able to see someone through the hole? This someone was Chaos King. She explained that she was trying to get through and asked him to keep people away from the hole so that she would be able to try and find a way through it. He interpreted the request as him being put in charge, and he took over Card Kingdom because of what he thought was the Knight's will. However, the Lightners did eventually make it to the fountain and sealed it before Des could find a way through. She took a break and created a new fountain about a day later, a decent bit further away. This new fountain was the cyber world. Des discussed the logistics of creating fountains with the leader of this new world, Q5U4EX7YY2E9N. Des then realized she might not have enough time to look for an exit if she continued talking to Queen, so she had to cut the conversation short in order to look for an exit, a pursuit that once again failed. Each ruler she met had asked her what her name was. December, having been inspired by the roar of the Titan, told them that she was the Roaring Knight. Soon she would be surprised by a new hole she did not create and continue her endeavors in trying to find a way home. Eventually, she will realize that the pursuit of an exit by way of tearing through dimensions would be pointless because a normal fountain doesn't have enough power behind it. Then, she will go back to her original plan of attacking the Titans, hoping that she would be able to enter one of the released bubbles and phase through dimensions with it. Little did she know she had already been upsetting the balance of light and dark by trying to use regular fountains to get home, but by trying to use the Titan's bubbles, she would tip the scales and cause greater problems she could ever fathom. That's right, the roaring. Now, I should probably explain the bubbles, shouldn't I? The bubbles function like their own little dark worlds, but they're a bit different because instead of just functioning as a regular dark world that's confined to its own spot, these bubbles are able to move and even phase through the barrier between the depths and the Deltarune world. That's right, this is where the Submarine Castletown theory comes into play. I think these bubbles are small dark worlds with pure fountains, and the singular bubble that was released by the first Titan that was struck became Castletown. This would make Castletown functionally a submarine. The fountain communication works like in that one Owl House episode, Season 2, Episode 10, Yesterday's Lie. In that episode, there's a place with floating cubes that can allow you to be able to talk and see through certain places. In this case, trying to touch the hole is the cube, and the fountain on the other side is the certain place that you can communicate through. This would allow Deaths to be able to communicate with the leaders of Dark Worlds without the Delta Warriors being able to tell when they inevitably seal the fountain. This would also make it possible for her to be able to talk to the leaders of Dark World she hadn't created, which could make Chapter 3's Dark World very, very interesting. This theory could explain a lot of odd details in Deltarune. For example, Queen mentioned that the knight reached their long hand into the sky when making Cyberworld. To Death, if the bubble looked like it was going up, she would aim up, so up is the direction she relayed to Queen. Jevil mentioned that the shadow of the knight's hand is drifting forwards, which reminds me a lot of how things under the surface of water look like shadows. The pink and white ribbons seem to be connected to Noelle, December's sister. It's possible the ribbons are from Death's influence in the creation of the Dark Worlds. Well, it's time to lose any credibility I might have had with you because I'm going to do something that people don't usually do to their theories. I'm going to point out the counter-evidence. There are several issues with the concept of Death Knight in general, let alone a theory built on top of others that have taken a fair amount of conjecture to arrive at. So I'm going to play a little bit of theory crafting Jenga and pull out a few pieces that could quite possibly ruin this theory. We don't know who closed the door, it's true. A popular theory is that the knight closed the door, but we don't know that for certain. And due to that, I find it plausible that it wasn't the knight who closed the door. It's viable enough to keep this theory afloat, at least. The general consensus is that the knight defeated King in the throne room, and that's why the throne room is damaged, and used the fact that King doesn't have a bladed weapon as evidence. However, to me, I think King's weapon is bladed because it's a spade. A spade is another word for a shovel, which is the reason for Lancer's fixation with them. Shovels are moderately sharp, so I think it's plausible what really happened is King overthrew the 3 other kings because he decided that's what the knight meant he should do. A shovel could very much make those marks if the wielder intended to harm someone or something, so I think this is a viable alternative. And here we start to get into the bigger unknown. Why would she be in the depths? A very good question, with no real answer. We don't know what happened to her, just that we should find her, but the direction the game is going, it seems we will find her in the dark. We know that she, Chris, Noelle, and Azriel have explored the woods behind the graveyard which, oh hey look at that, it's the bunker down there. Perhaps she saw it and was curious and stumbled into something. Who knows? Who knows if she's there at all? We really don't, but there is that unused voice in the code. Many people theorize that it's December in the code. It might be her, it might not, but hey, if people think a certain other mystery man might be in the depths and doing all sorts of code stuff, then maybe Death is in the depths and she's doing a bit of code stuff too. Again, who really knows for certain? Dark worlds mutate general objects into weapons. If a generic pencil can turn into a sword and a toothbrush into an axe, is it really that much of a stretch that Death could have a weapon? When I first tried to tackle this line, I definitely did not expect it to go the way it did. I started off just trying to figure out what the hell Jevil was on about, and it turned into a Death Knight theory that also somehow tried explaining a lot of Deltarune's water analogies and smaller details surrounding the night. I'm not even entirely sure what happened, to be honest, but I think it turned into solving Deltarune. This isn't necessarily me saying I think Deltarune must be like this, but I am saying it could be like this, so I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is there anything I missed? Any undeniable evidence that will completely crush this theory? Your own takes? Anything. I'll see you all next time. Bye!